Welcome to the Philadelphia Museum of Art Contemporary Craft Show Artist Talk with leather artist Laura Burkett. Laura, thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing your beautiful work. I thought we could start by you sharing your journey and how you learned your craft.
Well, first, I want to say thank you so much for inviting me to participate in the show, or allowing me to participate in the show, and also for giving me this opportunity to share my work. So most of my inspiration and design ideas come from a lot of the inspiration I received when I lived in Italy. So I lived over there for 3 years back in the early 2000s. There's quite a backstory, but I was living there working full time for a study abroad program for 3 years, helping to market and also do some administration, language and cultural immersion activities. And that same company sent me to Barcelona after that for 4 years. So I was in Italy for 3 years and Spain for 4 years, working full time and study abroad. So, I'm just getting this inspiration day after day. And, granted, I have my regular job, but I was just so inspired by the beauty so many things in Italy obviously are beautiful, but especially the leather bags and the design there. So I was kind of chasing this idea on the side to try to start my own business based around leather bags. But one thing that I noticed is that in Italy, there's a predominant focus, I think, on beauty and, on the visual aesthetic of whatever the object or design, whether it's, art or architecture, and even the language. I mean, it's really very much beauty focused, which I loved, but I felt like there was a little bit of, in some of the leather bags I was seeing, there was a little bit of functionality that could be improved upon. So I'm always kind of trying to build a better mousetrap when it comes to how something works. So I want it to look great but also function just as well. And that just, I don't know, I thought about that so many times as I was traveling and just, and watching people, especially business people, because I had come from a business background and many years of brand management and marketing and doing quite a bit of travel associated with that. So I was particularly looking through people going through airports and how they were getting in and out of their bags. And I thought, why do we even have buckles? They just take too long to get into a bag. Why do we even have them? Why don't we try to design something that can have all of that beauty and quality of materials and quality of craftsmanship, but have the functionality meet that. So it really is the essential goal, I guess, of contemporary craft, this balance of form and function. So that's really how I got into this. I thought I can do that a little bit better. I mean, I need to learn about the actual design and the making and all that, but I thought I could come up with some better ideas for function. So that's how that started. And I went to a cobbler in the town where I was living, Perugia. It's right in the center of Umbria. And I went to this cobbler named Sergio. Sergio didn't speak a word of English, so I had to use my Italian, which was the biggest thing that took me to Italy was wanting to learn to speak Italian. And I ended up with this full-time job just as a coincidence of doing that. So here I am trying to use my Italian and talk to this cobbler about how I want to take this bag and design it and make it more for a backpack that's made for a computer, but a leather backpack made for a computer. And at this point in the early 2000s, I didn't know how to sew a thing. So I was conceptually designing the thing and then, I guess, aggregating resources to get it done or to get it made. So I went to the cobbler because I know that shoemakers and people who work with shoes and shoe leather, that's obviously a very transferable skill to bags. So I went to him, and he and his family had this little cobbler shop on the hillside in Perugia. And of course, at first he thought I was this crazy American woman, but once he understood what I was trying to do, he agreed to work with me. So it was this year of just really in-depth, back and forth of trying to explain what I wanted to try to do and him helping me prototype this initial bag. And so coming out of that, I mean, it took quite a while to get to that point, but once we had the bag that I liked, then we were able to make some more prototypes and try to start, getting those sold. And so that initial bag, if I can go right into product, I don't know if you want any more of the backstory, but that's how I got into it. And over time, I've learned more and more of the craft myself. So it's almost like a backward progress. I know a lot of designers start making and then they end up with other people making everything. And I've almost done the opposite. So now I'm in a position where I'm doing almost all of the making, maybe getting a little bit of help with some of the stitching, but that's also been very gratifying, is to learn some of those skills. But kind of going into the product and talking about this functionality. Do you want me to pause? Do you have any questions on that?
I would love for you to share some of the product, and I hope we get a sneak peek of some of what will be at the show. So please jump right in.
All right. So this is the initial backpack made for a computer. It's called Zaino, which that's another thing. I name all of my bags. I give them an Italian name that's usually just very basic and descriptive. So Zaino in Italian means backpack. In terms of the functionality and how to get in this quickly, a lot of backpacks, you'll see that they have buckles, but this is just a spring-loaded little closure that you can just get into very quickly. And, and I added padding in the back to be able to protect your laptop. So that was, the very first design that started it all. And yeah, so I was really excited about that. I think now in retrospect, I look at that bag and I think it's a little bit heavy. It's heavy even when it's empty. So I'm not producing this anymore and I've moved on, but I've kept that notion of functionality and how do you design pieces that, I guess functionality in three primary ways, sort of ease of access. That's, the first thing I was really looking at, how quickly and easily you can get into a bag. The versatility of the piece, can you use it in different settings or in different ways, multi-use, and also in the robustness of the material and also the structure. So this is still, on ease of access. So this is a closure that I developed and started using in a couple of different designs. So you can see that it's just a pass-through tab that is very easy to put in, and it keeps the flap, the front flap. This is the Messaggero is the name of this messenger bag, but it's just very easy to get in and out of. And so that was the iteration after the Zaino. And then I moved on to smaller pieces. This is a piece called triforma or triforma. So it means three ways. So you can start off as a crossbody bag. You can detach the strap here, wrap it around your waist, and reattach it here for a belt bag, or you can just remove the strap altogether, and it's a clutch. The other versatility piece of this is that the mouth of this little guy is so deep that it holds a lot. I have in mine that I use, I have a wallet, I can put my phone, makeup, a lot of different things, and it's nice and compact, but pretty versatile. Back on the flaps, I forgot to show you this running through those others, but this is another execution of this pass-through tab that I'm using in the front flap. So this is another backpack that I wanted to make a little smaller and more streamlined. I feel like when I was looking at backpacks that were super functional, either hiking backpacks or backpacks that you see on computer campuses, I was always put off by the amount of space that you would see between the actual bag and your back. And so I designed this piece to lay really flatly against the back. So that's another functionality piece. I know I'm focusing on function, but to see the form, you have to really see it in person and feel the leather and the materials, and that's why I look forward to seeing everyone in person. Robustness of material and versatility in that regard, that I bring that in with my very big portatutto tote, which means carry all. So I've started using upholstery and awning gray material inside these bags. This is sunbrella. I use a lot of sunbrella to increase, it's stain and water resistant. So you have this, really robust and resistant surface on the inside, and then the outside. My leathers tend to, most leather does wear very well if it's not too delicate. So whether you get, a little bit of water on this or, gets a little darker over time, it just gets better. And then also straps. Okay. How many bags have we had?
I think we have a little bit of a pause.
Just straps a little bit wider. It's white. Uh-oh.
Oh, so look, we just start from the bag again. So show us the straps. That's where we.
So the strap, I try to make sure that my straps are comfortable. This one is not as wide as some of my others, but it's wider than a lot of tote bags because I tend to load everything in this bag. I mean, computer work stuff, notebooks and all that, and it gets very heavy. And so that's what I did with that. And then this is just another color combination of that bag. This is my everyday bag. I've carried this for probably 4 or 5 years. I don't put anything on it. Very rarely, I might put a little bit of leather lotion on it, but it just wears really well. And it's, you know, it also has the, you know, the upholstery and on engraved material inside that. So that's kind of a product run through. I mean, to answer your question, it's a very long-winded way of getting to the answer of, do I have anything, the special things that I'm excited about showing at the Philadelphia Museum of Art Craft Show is a brand new line of teardrop. I'm calling it, it's a teardrop structured bag, and it is, I made it in 3 sizes, and I'm introducing it for the first time in person in the full. I have 3 different sizes, and I'm going to have some special colors for the show that I probably won't offer in my day-to-day lineup. So this is the bag. Really excited about this just because, again, it has a lot of versatility. This is the biggest one. So I know some folks would like to, you know, have something a little bit more streamlined. So talking about straps and closures, this strap, you can start out as sort of just a higher position, just over the shoulder. But if you want to go with a crossbody execution, you can do that as well very easily. This is nylon. This is made in Italy, this nylon webbing, and this is reflective. I don't know if you can see that on the screen, but I really like that color combination with the dark chocolate and, you know, and the fuchsia. And then I've also brought in some of that color on the back. This is industrial wool felt, and from a spring-loaded clasp that grabs onto this little ball back here. So that is not going to come off unless you deliberately lift that, you know, spring and pull that off. Now, in terms of, I keep talking about versatility and being able to swap out. I've executed this in a way that you can also change out the straps and these the closure tabs if you would like to go to a green situation, which the green also looks very, very nice with the chocolate brown. And you can also remove this tab if you want. There's a snap on the back. You can remove that and switch it for a tab that has green on the back, or you can just have an all leather tab. So you could essentially buy the bag with whatever setup it has, but then buy, you know, a secondary strap. If you bought the green, you can then buy the fuchsia or vice versa. So that's the large one of those. And then I have a smaller version as well. It's the mid-size lacrima. And by the way, lacrima means teardrop in Italian. And I really love the shape. It's a very beautiful shape, but there's also a little bit of, you know, teardrop. I think we've all had some teardrops in the last few years. So it's a little bit of a, you know, just noticing that is happening in all our lives, and just thought it was a nice way to describe the actual shape and structure of the bag. So these both, actually all of them have a fairly wide gusset for the profile of the front, because I want to be able to carry a lot more than some, you know, little smaller handbags in this style might carry. And then if you do like to go tiny, or maybe a little dressier or, you know, cuter, I have a really small one as well. And this small version is where I will start to do maybe some contrast colors on the gusset. You know, the strap comes off. I did just put one, you know, short little strap on this, but I can obviously do longer straps. Same type of closure. All of these have a side pocket inside for your cell or other goodies. Yeah, so I think that is the lineup, most of what I have to show you. Oh, well, just one other little thing. During the pandemic, when people were buying less bags, I thought, well, what can I make for the home that is, you know, leather, and also using some of this color and this really fun fabric that I've been using. So I created cuscino, which shockingly means pillow in Italian, but this is a lumbar support pillow, and it's kind of densely packed. So it is really comfortable in the lower back. And a lot of people tell me that they end up carrying them in their cars, but but it's just a fun, really fun way to have an accent of color in whatever part of the room you might want to do that. So what else? That's a very fast run through of a lot of what I hope to show.
And I think everyone who's watching this will agree that the beauty and the attractiveness of all of your work really comes through on here, and I'm sure that much more in person. And thank you so much for showing us all of the functionality of it, because I do think that's so helpful. So many times we can't fit everything in something. So just seeing all the different ways that you can use your work, and each one for something different is really remarkable. I do quickly before we go, I just wanted to ask you where you're zooming in from with us today, and where your home base is.
Oh, so I am in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, which is actually Pawtucket, Rhode Island was the center of the Industrial Revolution in textiles. So there are a lot of old mill buildings, that have been renovated into loft spaces. And I'm actually living in a loft space that was built in 1860 to house an industrial sewing machine company. So that to me had a lot of historical significance and also resonated with what I'm doing. So these industrial machines would have been the early ones that would sew leather and shoes and things like that. And this is just, I'll give you a quick little glance. It's probably a little messy, so I'm not going to give you the whole spiel, but it's high ceilings and, hardwood floors and brick. It's not fancy at all, but it's a space that lends itself really well to craft objects. And we have a lot of crafts that we've either, traded or bought through a lot of these shows. And that's been a real joy as well, of participating in contemporary craft shows, especially at the level of the Philadelphia Museum of Art craft shows. So I hope to see more, and I really look forward to meeting everyone. Stop by my booth. I don't know, I may know what my booth number is, but I'll have to look that up.
We'll make sure it's on the site, and it seems like you're in the right inspiring place there. And I just want to thank you again for taking the time to share with us all of your work. And for everyone else, you can see Laura Burkett and her beautiful bags at the Philadelphia Museum of Art Contemporary Craft Show at the Pennsylvania Convention Center in Exhibit Hall F. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Take care.